Have you ever wondered why you sometimes act impulsively while at other times you make thoughtful or moral decisions? Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, proposed a groundbreaking model of the human mind, dividing it into three key components: the ID, the ego, and the superego. Let's explore this fascinating theory and see how it applies to our everyday lives. Freud's structural model is central to his psychoanalytic theory. He suggested that human behavior is driven by unconscious forces, desires, repressed memories, and conflicts. Over years of clinical practice, Freud developed this model to explain how these forces interact. The ID is the most primitive part of the psyche. It operates on the pleasure principle, demanding immediate gratification of desires like hunger, thirst, and aggression. The ID doesn't care about rules or consequences. It just wants what it wants right now. As we grow, the ego develops to mediate between the impulsive ID and the moral superego. The ego works on the reality principle, finding practical and socially acceptable ways to satisfy the ID's demands. The superego is your inner judge, representing the moral values you've learned from parents and society. It strives for perfection and pushes us to act ethically, often making us feel guilt or pride depending on our actions. The ID, ego, and superego are in constant conflict. The ID says, "I want it now." The superego says, "You must follow the rules." The ego mediates, finding a compromise. This balancing act shapes our decisions, but it can also cause anxiety, which the ego manages using defense mechanisms. While Freud's ideas were revolutionary, they've faced criticism for being unscientific. Yet, concepts like the unconscious mind and defense mechanisms remain influential in psychology. Modern interpretations focus on making these ideas more testable and practical. Freud's ID, ego, and superego continue to offer profound insights into human behavior. Understanding these elements helps us recognize why we make certain choices and how unconscious forces influence our lives.